Hi everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Hope you guys are having a wonderful week. So today I wanted to go over a review question that you guys sent me. It was in regards to Taste of the Wild ancient grains, and so I think that's a good question. What is an ancient grain? Is it good? Is it bad? Is the food good? Is the food bad? All those things. The specific food was the fish-based Taste of the Wild. There's a couple different versions that they make, so we're going to review the fish one. And so if you're new to our channel, welcome. We're glad to have you. My name is Dr. Ray, and I kind of do these first impressions on the foods you guys ask me about. The big deal here is we try to sift through all of the marketing BS so that you guys have a good handle on what is actually necessary and what is actually good, so you guys don't A, feed your pet something that might be harmful, and B, you don't get taken for a lot of money, because everybody wants to do what's best for their pet, and some of these companies just kind of want to make money off you guys. So let us get started. We're going to jump into the Taste of the Wild ancient grains. I think they call it Wild Stream. All right, so I haven't actually looked into this food. I did kind of peek at some of the guaranteed analysis to make sure all of the parameters we needed were there. But we're just gonna kind of start at the top and go over exactly what it is. So if you go to the Taste of the Wild website, you can see kind of a little bit about them. They do sell both dog and cat food. And so let's see, only buy from authorized retailers, and let's see who actually sells the food. So, all right, there you go. So you can buy it at Amazon, Petco, Chewy, PetFlow, Tractor Supply. That's where I think I've seen it before. It's Tractor Supply, Loyal, Naturally Unleash, and Village Pets and Supplies. So those are the online places that you can purchase it from, and those are going to be authorized retailers. Okay, so that's where you can buy it, and it says that the Taste of the Wild wild prey are quality, affordable dog and cat foods with protein sources that are based on your pet's natural diet. In every formula, the first ingredient is real meat, fish, or fowl, and we use unique proteins like wild boar, bison, salmon, roasted duck, venison, and Angus beef to make better tasting dog food and cat food that your pet will crave. There's nothing wrong with the first ingredient being meat. I do want to say though that particular verbiage that they're using is a bit of a marketing ploy, because when you list ingredients, or when you're required to list ingredients, it is by weight. And so, for instance, a piece of chicken or a piece of bison listed like that is going to include the bone, and it's going to include the water content. And so a piece of chicken, as they're listing it with the water content and the bones and things like that that are not going to be fed to the pet, it's going to be deboned, and that water is going to be extruded because it's going to be put down into a kibble. All that weight kind of dissipates. And so just because it is the first ingredient, it doesn't mean that there's more of it or that it's a better quality. It strictly has to do with weight. So that is a little bit of a marketing heads up there. There's nothing wrong with the first ingredient being meat. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying a lot of companies do use that as a marketing ploy. So be a little bit careful if you're looking at ingredients and one of your top things is the first ingredient is meat. That is not necessarily what a person would think it means. There's a lot of legal mumbo jumbo on there that allows that to be manipulated. So let's see. They have apparently two different things. They've got Taste of the Wild Prey, and then they have Taste of the Wild, which is the ancient grains. And so the first question that I had was, and I didn't know the answer to that, what is an ancient grain? And so I looked at, this is a formula finder, yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. I looked at the good old Wikipedia here to find out what an ancient grain is. And so if you kind of look here in the middle, the first sentence, ancient grain is a marketing term used to describe a category of grains and pseudo-cereals that are purported to be minimally changed by selective breeding over recent millennia, yada, yada, yada. So right there, even Wikipedia is letting us know that the term ancient grains means nothing, basically. It is a marketing term, so it's a term that some of these pet food companies are using and throwing around now to try to draw people in. And so what is considered to be an ancient grain? So let's see. The ancient grains include spelt, Korasian wheat or kamut, farro, inkhorn, emmer, millet, barley, teff, oats, sorghum. And then the pseudo cereals are quinoa, amaranth, buckwheat, and chia. So, that's what they're meaning about ancient grains. This is what they're going to put in there. Is it more nutritionally sound? I don't know. I would have to look into that. That information actually is pretty readily available based on the Small Animal Clinical Nutrition. So, in one of the appendixes. So let me go grab my edition of the Small Animal Clinical Nutrition and see if we can find some of these ancient grains in there. I'm pretty sure they are. And let's see if nutritionally they seem superior to the regular grains, which are going to be corn, rice, modern varieties of wheat that are not the ancient variety. So give me a second. All right, so here it is, my little mini pocket version. I've got the ginormo version at my office, but this little pocket version is going to be handy for our purposes. And I know in the back of this book there are reference tables that talk about the nutritional value of the different types of ingredients. So let's see, I'll give you guys the Cliff Notes version. All right, so that's the first thing, kind of investigating what an ancient grain is. Let's find the formula that we were specifically asked about, and that was the ancient stream with smoked salmon. So let's see, we've got the package here with ancient grains, and you got your salmon on there, and you got some wolves on there, which again is going to be great marketing, because if you guys are familiar with my dogs, Foxy and Sable, there's no wolf in them, and they spend the majority of their day relaxing and chilling in the air conditioner. And so certainly they do not have the same nutrient requirements as a wolf, because they literally do nothing all day long. So that's a bit of a marketing thing, but it does make for a pretty package. Let's see what it says. Rich in omega fatty acids for healthy skin and shiny coat, and that's true. I agree with that. Features sustainably sourced salmon. That's a good thing too. And it's the number one ingredient. We already talked about that. And it has nutrient-dense ancient grains. So we kind of already talked about that too. We've got the back of the package here, which is going to go through a little bit of their, what makes their food good. And I believe if you scroll down, yeah, it's right here. So we'll go over that. Let's see, picture of the kibble. Says it's a high protein recipe with ancient grains, delicious and high quality smoked salmon. Well, I'm pretty sure that's there's the salmon. I'm pretty sure that's a picture of turkey. And 4 recipes with ancient grains which are naturally rich in protein. And I'll have a chart on that. I don't doubt that they're naturally rich in protein. I just don't know that they're any different than the non-ancient grains. So if it really makes a difference or not. All right. Oh, and they list it right there. The ancient grains they use are sorghum, millet, quinoa, and chai seed. They're naturally high in fiber and rich in protein, and they have been unchanged for thousands of years. All right. Sustainably sourced salmon. So they use sustainable fishing, which is great. Species-specific probiotics. There's nothing wrong with probiotics. Omega fatty acids, nothing wrong with that. And then they say that this is an all life stages food. And so we've talked about this on this channel many, 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 many times, pretty much every single video. If you want to learn what the term all life stages means, you can check out our earlier videos on kind of the fundamentals of reading food labels. But all life stages is a legal definition. And in order to put that on your food, it means that this particular diet is suitable to be fed to pregnant dogs, lactating dogs, puppies that are growing at super high rates, and it must meet those requirements in order to call it life stages. The problem with that is if you have a couch potato, like my dogs, that are not pregnant, not lactating, not super sporty, an all life stage formula is going to have way too much nutritional value for them. They're going to become obese. They're going to have way too many calories and nutrients that they don't need for their life stage. And so it is very important, in my opinion, that you pick a life stage that is appropriate for your pet. So this channel is about trying to pick what's best. And in my opinion, it's always best to tailor things to your pet. We don't want one size fits all. We want what's specific for our dog. So ideally, we want to find a food that is specific for our pet's life stage. And so if you're feeding adult, it would be most beneficial to find a pet food that is listed as maintenance for adults. And so it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with this food. It just means that ideally, I would like one that's made specifically for my pet. I don't want to be lumped in with a whole bunch of other life stages that aren't specific to my pet's particular needs. So that's the evaluation on that. Ingredients, they deliver just as they promised. They've got the salmon meal, and so right here you can see the difference. What I was talking about earlier is it has to do with moisture content. So a whole salmon that has all the moisture and all the bones and scales and all that kind of stuff is gonna weigh more than salmon meal or ocean fish meal, because a meal is all that meat is taken out and it's dried down, and it literally is a meal that you can kind of scoop dry and use it in your recipe. And so when they put salmon as the first ingredient, that doesn't mean that it's more salmon or more nutritionally dense salmon than these other things. To be quite honest, when something is made into a meal and that moisture is removed, it becomes more concentrated and more potent. So you will have more protein and you'll have more nutrients in a meal because it's dried down and concentrated than you actually will in a whole piece of salmon. And the reason why they do that, again, is marketing, because they know from years of their data and research and things like that, when people see the word meal, it has a negative connotation. Even though there's nothing wrong with the meal, it's just the way that it's processed so that they don't have to put large amounts in there. They can get the protein and the nutrients that they need by using a meal, which is easy to measure and easy to use in their formulations. There's nothing wrong with a meal. It just means that it's been dried down into a form that's easier for them to manipulate, to measure and things like that. So again, nothing wrong with salmon as the first ingredient, but it is a bit of a marketing thing. It doesn't mean that it's better or healthier than the meal version. And then they go in and they have their ancient grains that they promised that they would have, and then you get down into some of the lactobacillus and things like that. So that has to do with the ingredients. Then we get down to the guaranteed analysis, and this is where I a little bit cheated because it has become a resounding trend when I have been reviewing these foods that when we get to the guaranteed analysis, they always like to leave off the calcium and phosphorus, and then I have to call them or email them, and it takes a long time. So I already did that, and so they did leave off the calcium and phosphorus, and I called Taste of the Wild, and they were very speedy and very quick, and they got me the information we needed. So we will have the calcium and phosphorus to go over. All right, so this is, we're talking about an adult dog here, not pregnant, not lactating, not a puppy. And so protein, we want to be between 15 and 30, and it is 15 and 30. The calcium, we want to be between 0.5 and 1. And when I called them, I have my notes right here, she said the calcium in this particular diet is 1.5, which is in excess of what we want. The phosphorus should be between 0.4 and 0.8, and they're at 1.1, which is only slightly out of the reference range for phosphorus, which is not that big of a deal, but the calcium being at 1.5 is a bit much. Calcium is one of those ingredients where every 1/10 of a point is really significant. So for example, if I read a routine blood panel on your pet in the office and the calcium was 0.5 over the reference range, I would be concerned. I would be wanting to recheck that. I would be wanting to do a diet analysis. I would be wanting to screen for certain cancers and things like that. So 0.5 when you're dealing with calcium, even though it doesn't seem like a lot, actually is a significant amount. And it could cause some issues, maybe not in a normal dog, but maybe an older dog or a dog that is just on the verge of maybe having kidney disease or just on the verge of having hyperparathyroidism or something like that, that 0.5 might be enough just to spill them over. And so keep that in mind. When you're kind of looking through this, it has to do with individual pets, so that's where it's important that you have that routine blood work done on your pet, so you know if that 0.5% makes that big of a difference. But just know that it's not going to be listed on the package, and that's what the value is according to the Taste of the Wilds people. Okay. Sodium, I didn't really dive into sodium. A lot of the companies don't list that, and that really isn't that important. Dogs in general can process excess sodium pretty easily, so that's not going to be something that we're really worried about. Vitamin E should be greater than 400. It is a little bit deficient. It's only at 150. Again, that's not uncommon in these diets to be slightly deficient. It is a minimum that they list, so it could be greater than 400, but it's not required based on the minimum they're listing. Fat should be between 10 and 20%, and that's perfect. It's at 15. The fiber should be less than 5, and they're at 3, which is great. And then I list chloride there. Sodium and chloride kind of go together. They haven't listed them, but they're not that super important. So everything really checks out on this except for the phosphorus and the calcium, which again, for a normal dog, if you've been doing routine blood work, you're probably fine as long as you know your pet's calcium and phosphorus levels are normal. But if you don't do routine blood work and you're not sure, you might want to be a little bit careful if you have an older pet or a senior pet with feeding this one. Let's go to the AAFCO statement, which is going to be what we thought. Okay, so Taste of the Wild Ancient Stream Canine Recipe with Smoked Salmon is formulated, so they didn't do feeding trials, which we like to see. But again, no big deal. A lot of companies don't do them to meet the nutritional levels established by AAFCO for all life stages, including growth of large-sized dogs, 70 pounds or more as an adult. So this food actually is a large breed puppy. That is probably why the calcium and phosphorus are excess of what an regular adult dog needs, because this food is actually a large breed puppy, and it would be more accurate to list that on the package, but they don't because they can't reach the large market share that they want to if they put that on there. So, there is that. All right, so let's see, what else do we want to look at here? Is there anything else? The price, we want to look at the price. So let's see what this food's going to cost, because they are saying that it is going to be affordable. So let's go to the good old Chewy and find our Ancient Stream here. So the Ancient Stream is going to be $48.99 for a 28-pound bag. Let's see what that is per pound. $1.74 per pound. So we've definitely done reviews, even our more recent reviews of like the Munster Milling and the Beaver Dam are going to be cheaper than $1.74. You can check that video out for some price comparisons with other foods that we've reviewed, but $1.74 a pound is not super cheap either. So I think all in all, this is not a bad food. I think they pack a lot of marketing into this package. And so marketing number one is they put these wolves and things on the package to kind of make us feel like it's more healthy for our dogs because it's taking them back to their ancestors or their ancestral needs. But it's kind of silly because our pets are not hunting daily. They're not catching their own salmon. They are essentially snoring, watching TV. At least mine are most of the time. Other marketing thing is the ancient grains. They really aren't any more nutritionally dense or nutritionally appropriate. And even Wikipedia says that is a marketing term and it's not like the legal definition or any type of actual anything, to be quite honest. They are all life stages, which they're marketing to be something special, but it's not. It basically is laziness. Their calcium and phosphorus is a little bit out of whack because this is indeed a large breed puppy, but they don't put that on the package because they want to meet a larger or appeal to a larger market share. And so all in all, I don't think the food is bad. I think there are a lot of marketing traps in there. So as long as you are informed about that and you're evaluating this food with that in mind, I think you're fine. And that's it. That's Taste of the Wild. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you will join us again. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye.